Hello friends, I am Rahul Gupta from startwithwhy. So again in the corporate insight, we are going to discuss one more interesting interview question that is called tell me about a situation when your work was critical. So now whenever this question is asked in the interview, if you are not prepared, then it is a very difficult to answer this question because the answer of this question led to the make or break to the interview. Okay, so I will be discussing the two fantastic technique to answer this question. One is called a KABIR technique, another is a dark soul technique. We will discuss what is the meaning of that. Okay, and if you prepare your answer in advance using these techniques, you can convince your interviewer panel in a very nice manner, and you will be on the top of your hiring list. Correct? So stay tuned till last to understand what is the KABIR technique and what is the dark soul technique is, and how to prepare the answer for this dangerous question. Okay, so again let's move on. So again we will be discussing the answer of this question into the four different buckets. Okay, so the first bucket is we call what the interviewer panel is looking for through this question. Okay, what are the common mistake everyone makes including me. And the third one is what is the thought process that is going in the interviewer panel when they ask this question, and what is the secret recipe that has worked for me, and you can prepare your answer utilizing this technique. So let's move on to the first one. So now whenever they ask whenever this question is asked, okay, and so whatever this question and what is the meaning of that or what is the connotation of that question is slightly different. So if we understand the connotation of that question, we can better frame our answer and can convince the interviewer panel. So let's say whenever they are asking tell me about a situation when your work was criticized, what is the connotation behind this question is they are looking how do you respond in a stressful situation. That is the first thing. Second is whether you have the right attitude to take any kind of suggestions or correction which is given as a criticism to you over your work. Okay, or you basically defend yourself all the time. No, I have done everything fantastic, you don't understand. Is that your... So the third thing is what is your management style of work. Okay, so whether you are able to take, this is basically related to somewhat that, but how well you are able to respond, or what is your management style to respond to the criticism. So these are the basically three different you can say connotation when they ask this question. Now let's move on to the second part. What are the common mistake everyone makes including me? So the first one is you say that I have never been criticized at work. That means you are saying you have never done any wrong work. That means the interviewer panel should treat you as a god, that God has come for the interview. Correct? So they should directly hire you. If that is your thought process, that means you will never be selected. Okay, because we are the humans, we always make a mistake, and if we make a mistake, that means we are not perfect. Okay, so we should never tell that we are perfect, we have never been criticized. These answers will not give you the job. Okay, surely. Now the third thing is you start exaggerating too much. So let's say you have been criticized, but you start telling, okay, this happened, okay, and they started telling me, they started yelling on me, they give this. So don't do the exaggeration. It should be very crisp and clear whatever your answer is, and don't go in the excessive detail unnecessarily. Okay, don't talk about at every individual level what happened, he told that, he did, okay, the another person told that, I did this. They are not interested in to go into the nuances of those details. They are interested, okay, what we discussed, what is the connotation behind. The next one is disparage anyone for your response. Disparage means you start telling that, okay, I was perfect but they couldn't understand, okay, and then he started criticizing me. So you are basically disparaging another with your response. So don't do that kind of thing. Again, don't treat yourself that you are the god. Okay, you always do the right thing and you never make a mistake. If you are doing that, obviously you will not be hired, because the company is looking for the the employee as a god. They are looking for the normal human beings. Okay, and the last one is the lack of preparation. Trust me, if this question is asked in the interview and if you have not prepared, it is very difficult to answer. Correct? For me, it was very difficult. I was not able to answer, so that's why I prepared. Okay, in the later part of my career for these questions, and this is what I'm sharing with you so that you can prepare yourself and better nail this question. The next part is why the interviewer panel actually asked this question. Okay, we have discussed little bit of connotation, but here we will discuss little bit with more detail. The first is when you take the criticism, do you improve anything after that, or you just took the criticism, kept aside, and keep doing the same thing? That is the first thing they would like to understand. Second, whether after taking the criticism, whether you will still be working with the same person or you will have some sort of A and B kind of thing, okay? Or you will say, I will not work with this person because you don't understand, okay? That is the second thing they would like. The third thing is whether you start abusing or profane with the person or become angry who critiqued you, okay? That is the third thing, because it is not a good for a better teamwork. Okay. Even though you have a very fantastic skills, but if you are not able to gel with the team, then the team output will basically will not be there. And the fourth thing is basically your honesty, because when you are telling what is the criticism you have received, that means you are already acknowledging, okay, and you are basically building over that. That shows that you are honest and you will be on the top of the list. Okay, so these are the four things actually interviewer panel is looking for. Now the question is how to answer this question. Okay, so in order to answer this question, there are two techniques, okay, and they both are basically in the combinations, they are not separate. So the first technique, okay, I call is called a Kabir technique. What is the meaning of Kabir? Okay, it is not a Kabir Khan, okay, it is not from a movie, but it is from a famous poet, okay. So Kabir is basically 15th century mystic poet, okay. So now I love basically the quote what he has given. He has told basically, निंदक नियरे राखिए आंगन कुटी छवाए बिन पानी साबुन बिना निर्मल करे सुभाए. Okay, what is the meaning of this actually statement is he is telling that criticism is actually your friend. Okay, so you should never say that I don't like criticism, you should say I love criticism. Okay, so always I keep the critic close to me. Okay, so any work that I do, I always keep critic to me. Okay, the question is why? Because these critics are basically are helping me to improve. Okay, they don't need a soap or a water to clean your work. Basically they will tell you that what is the mistake you have made upfront and you can basically rectify them. Fantastic technique, we call the Kabir technique. Okay, so always keep the critics. So whenever the interviewer panel say that, okay, have you been criticized, you should say I have not been criticized, I basically intend to get criticism. Okay, so I go to every person and ask for criticism because that is my habit. So I always keep the critics near to me, I don't keep them away. I love criticism. Okay, so this is the first technique. So that means whatever the effort, whatever the work that you are doing, you are asking the constructive criticism from everyone. You are not going away from that. You should say that I love this. Okay, this is not a bad thing, it is a good thing for that is the first. Now let's say you got a criticism. Now after getting the criticism, now the next thing is assimilate that criticism. Okay, criticism is basically like the reaction you got. Now you should take that. Okay, so for that there is a something called a next technique, we call that. Okay, so I call this is a dark soul technique. Okay, so this is the dark soul. Basically why I call this is a dark soul, as you see like the few letter DKSL are basically highlighted here. So I will explain what is the meaning of that. Now when I say the DKSL, what is the meaning? Let's say you got a certain criticism. Okay, now what is the action you are going to take? You need to follow this technique. Okay, so in order to take the criticism, let's say your criticism you analyzed and you found this criticism whatever the person is telling is untrue. Okay, it has to be there should not be any biasing, it should be unbiased analysis. So you do the analysis. Okay, this person has told this, is this a true? Okay, if this is a untrue, that means you should disregard, you should not take any action. That means that person, maybe the person is biased or person has not understood or whatever is the thing. That means that criticism is not basically adding the value in that. That is the first thing. The second is, if let's say it's unfair. Okay, if let's say it is unfair, then what you should do? You should keep from irritating. Okay, you thought like, okay, this criticism is basically not fair for me. Okay, that means you will get irritated. Keep your irritation away. This is your action, you are doing the action. You got already the criticism, somebody told you are bad. Okay, that means you shouldn't basically start fighting with that. Keep away, keep calm, keep away from irritating. Your third thing. The third thing is, if it is a ignorant, okay, because of some reason, that means you should smile. Let's say the person didn't understand. Okay, you are telling some fantastic concept, everyone understood, but one person told, I think this is whatever you are explaining is actually not correct. Okay, but everyone is in agreement. then you should just smile. You shouldn't fight with him. And then again explain that. So maybe with the time you say, oh wow, now it is basically clicking. Okay, so ignorant. Now the fourth one is called a justified. If you believe that that criticism is actually justified, you have missed something. Okay, you have basically done something wrong. Okay, basically learn from it, embrace it. Okay, accept it, yes, and do some action. So there are two techniques. One, the first one, you love the criticism, okay, and ask for criticism. So showcase that yes, you love the criticism, you always ask for criticism. Once you get a criticism, what you do, you take certain action, and this is the technique. Now let's understand how to frame your answer utilizing both the technique so that you can convince your interviewer panel in a fantastic manner. Okay, so let's move on. Now this is basically the sample answer. So you will say, hello sir, hello ma'am. Actually, I believe in the Kabir Das philosophy to get a proactive criticism to sharpen my skills. Okay, so every work I do, I follow the two-step approach. Now, what is a two-step approach? The first approach is seek proactive criticism. Okay, not only from my peers, even from the seniors. Okay, of my work using the Kabir philosophy. Okay, so I am actually asking the criticism using the Kabir philosophy. Now in the corporate world, there are many criticism models are there, 360 feedback. There are so many things are there. Okay, we are not discussing that as of now, but you can say that. Now the second is assimilate the criticism using the dark soul technique. You should not use these words, but you can say yes, or you can tell also, that's completely okay. So then you can say, now I will quote basically one example. Okay, so last year I was working on a component design of an aviation engine, and actually I came up with 3 different design concept. Okay, and then after that, upon seeking a proactive criticism on these concept from my chief engineer, I was critiqued. Okay, I was critiqued for overlooking one of the key design criteria. Okay, so I missed actually that key design criteria. Okay, then I basically utilized my second technique called a dark soul technique, and I realized, yes, whatever the criticism that I have got from my chief engineer, it is actually critical to the design. It makes sense. Hence, I accepted my fault, okay, in the meeting, and sought for some extra time to correct for the mistake. Okay, and then I again started basically working on those design concepts. Okay, and I ensured that I don't do any kind of that mistake again. And for that, what I did, one more thing, like after that I prepared a checklist for that, so that any future design which happens should not do the similar kind of mistake. And then I presented the same, all those 3 concepts to the chief engineer second time, and he felt very happy with the progress, and even he signed off to incorporate the checklist in the design process. Okay, so this actually is telling us, yes, you are proactive in seeking the criticism. And second thing, you just don't take the criticism and put in the dustbin. You actually analyze those criticism, and if you think like they are relevant, you take the action. So here the action is basically, you again redesigned those 3 concepts, created a basically checklist, again proactively go to the chief engineer and incorporated that in the design process. This is a fantastic way to convince your interviewer panel that you love the criticism. Okay, so utilize these 2 techniques. One is called a Kabir technique, another is called a dark soul technique. So utilizing these 2 techniques, you can nail this interview question in a very nice manner, and you can impress your interviewer panel and will be on the top of the list. Okay, so hope this video would have given you the enough insight. So if you think like this is helpful, share with your friends. Okay, and so whenever they actually frame their or whenever they give the interview and they crack the interview, you get a nice party from them. So keep learning. If you like the video, okay, then like the video, hit the subscribe button, and share with your friend as much as, so that this video reach to the needy. Okay, thank you. Keep learning.